Recently, we released a video titled Private Equity Drives Up the Value of NBA Teams, where we explain the impact of the rule change in the NBA rule to allow institutional investors, such as private equity firms, to buy NBA teams. Well, the National Hockey League, the NHL, has followed the NBA's lead and is changing their rules as well. On Thursday, December 9th, 2021, the league's Board of Governors met to approve the change to allow institutional investors, such as private equity firms, to invest in NHL teams. It's a similar rule change to the NBA, but here are some quick points. NHL teams can sell up to a 30% stake to a fund, same as the NBA. Private equity firms can have stakes in up to 5 NHL teams, same as the NBA. Firms can own up to 20% of a team, same as the NBA, and the minimum investment is $20 million. With that said, right before the rule change was announced, Forbes came out with the list of valuations of NHL teams, which had an average value increasing by 32% since last year. Now, while one of the reasons for the increase in valuations was the anticipation of the rule change, another big reason for the increase in valuations was the new US media deal, where the NHL signed a new deal with ESPN and Turner for $625 million per year, which is a lot more than the previous $300 million per year deal with NBC and ESPN. Okay, so without further ado, let's get to the list. Just a reminder, this list is from Forbes. Thanks to Mike Ozanian for his continued excellent reporting on sports valuations. Okay, so let's go. Number 10. The New York Islanders have a value of $950 million, and they're owned by Scott Malkin and John Ledecky. You may have seen that in 2021, the Islanders have moved to the UBS Arena at Belmont Park. UBS will reportedly be paying roughly $17.5 million per year over the 20-year deal for the naming rights of the arena. That's a total amount of $350 million over 20 years. But because of time value of money, we know that the value of those cash flows today are worth a lot less than $350 million to the owners of the Islanders. But it still adds value to the team. Next, let's move on to Number 9, the Detroit Red Wings, my favorite team in the NHL. The Red Wings have a value of $990 million, and they're owned by Marian Ilitch. Her and her late husband, Mike, were the founders of Little Caesars Pizza. As a kid, I played AAA hockey in Toronto trying to be like my favorite player, Steve Yzerman. And I'm excited that the Red Wings brought back Yzerman to be the team's general manager. In my opinion, he is the best general manager in the league by far. Moving on to number 8. The Los Angeles Kings have a value of $1.025 billion, and they're owned by Philip Anschutz, whose Anschutz Entertainment Group, AEG, owns many other sports teams, including the LA Galaxy. Moving on to number 7. The Edmonton Oilers have a value of $1.1 billion, and they're owned by Daryl Katz, who actually built a lot of his wealth through a private equity buy and build strategy in the pharmacy business, where he started off buying the Canadian rights to Medicine Shop for $300,000, then bought Rexall, then bought Pharma Plus, and put those brands together, and later in 2016, sold Rexall Health for $3 billion. Let's see if Katz can put McDavid, Draisaitl, and other Oilers together to be as successful as he was in the pharmacy business. Moving on to number 6. The Philadelphia Flyers have a value of $1.2 billion, and they are owned by Comcast, which bought out the ownership stake that was held by Ed Snyder's family back in 2016. Snyder is credited with bringing the Flyers to Philadelphia in 1967, and his sister Phyllis, well, she's credited with coming up the team name, the Flyers. Moving on to number 5. The Boston Bruins have a value of $1.3 billion, and they're owned by Jeremy Jacobs. The Bruins have the perfection line of Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, and David Pastrnak. Let's see how much longer that line can dominate. Moving on to number 4. The Chicago Blackhawks have a value of $1.4 billion, and they're owned by Rocky Wirtz. Speaking of the Blackhawks, I really like the leadership style of team's captain Jonathan Toews, the youngest player in history to join the Triple Gold Club, which is winning the Olympic gold medal, a World Championship gold medal, and a Stanley Cup. When Toews talks about his accomplishments, he uses the word "we" to ensure his teammates get credit. In 2013, Wharton professor Adam Grant, the same professor we referred to in our video titled How to Build Relationships in Private Equity, tweeted a funny meme that compares the championship speech by Jonathan Toews, where Toews used the word "we" 14 times, with the championship speech by LeBron James, where LeBron used the word "I" 18 times. Let's leave that one for now. Moving on to number 3. The Montreal Canadiens have a value of $1.6 billion, and they are owned by the Molson family, the same family that brought Canada many excellent beers. Moving on to number 2. The Toronto Maple Leafs have a value of $1.8 billion, and they are owned by Bell Canada, Rogers Communications, and Larry Tannenbaum. I live in Toronto, and I'm a huge Detroit Red Wings fan. Not gonna lie, but it feels pretty good that the Leafs hired Brendan Shanahan, an ex-Detroit Red Wing 3-time Stanley Cup champion, to be the Leafs president. We'll leave that as well for now. And moving on to number 1, the New York Rangers have a value of $2 billion, and they are owned by Madison Square Garden Sports, also known as MSG Sports, which has James Dolan as the executive chairman. MSG Sports also owns NBA's most valuable team, the New York Knicks. Now, here's a final thought. Do you remember the bankruptcy settlement over 20 years ago that made Mario Lemieux an owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins while he was still a player for the team? Well, here we are, more than 20 years later, and in 2021, Fenway Sports Group bought the Pittsburgh Penguins, including most of Mario Lemieux's ownership stake, valuing the team at around $900 million, which would make the Pittsburgh Penguins 12th on the Forbes list. Boy, have the values of NHL teams changed over the years. Also, right after the ownership rule change was announced to allow private equity firms to invest in the NHL teams, Arctos Partners, the same firm that invested in the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings, is set to buy stakes in both the Minnesota Wild and the Tampa Bay Lightning. It'll be interesting to see the effect on the values of NHL teams going forward because of this rule change. I guess time will tell. In this video, we talked about the top 10 NHL team values in 2021. If you have thoughts on sports teams' valuations, or if you agree that the Red Wings are the best team in the NHL, please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, please click the like and subscribe buttons. And in the description below, you'll find links to our unique private equity newsletter that provides exclusive commentary on recent private equity deals, as well as our website and our LinkedIn page, where you can find more information on many private equity topics. Thanks, and we'll see you in our next video.